insightful analysis, bold comments, friendly debates. Find all that on Roundtable, an in-depth discussion on hot topics in China, only on Easy FM.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Roundtable, coming to you live from Beijing. I'm your host, He Yang, joined by the man whose license just got suspended for driving all the ladies crazy, Mr. Ryan Price.
The name is Price. Ryan Price. James Bond, License to Kill. Nobody?
Yeah. Ooh, smoke in the studio. Alarm is going off.
I thought that was creative. Okay.
That was cool.
Thanks.
Yes. And who else is also smoking in the studio?
Ooh.
Is it me? Well, actually, it is our good friend to Roundtable, Baby.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to the show.
Yes, it's the second time that I've descended from heaven just for the live show.
I'm happy to catch you here. Yeah. And Baby, when you're not on Roundtable, how can we, or where can we catch you?
Yes.
Yeah, my WeChat official account. Yeah, 贝贝书屋. 贝贝书屋, because I'm a bookworm. Yeah. And also 贝贝双语故事. That's for little kids.
Yes. Well, Baby is one half expert or
I am an expert. Yeah.
When it comes to baby issues.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
I'm very glad to be here with you young people. Yeah, because I'm like the only parent here.
Very glad you're here too.
Yeah. It's wonderful to have you two
Thank
here
you.
in the studio with me, and good as always to have you, our dear listeners, with us. We have some fascinating topics for a discussion today and every day. On today's program, young parents are following WeChat public accounts religiously to raise kids. Bad things result from it. Where and who should parents look to in order to find reliable information in bringing up kids? And gratitude banquet for teachers, or 谢师宴, are usually held at this time of the year, which is the graduation season for high school students. How should these banquets of thankfulness turn sour, apparently? We'll talk about all those things. We would love to hear from you and have you join our live discussion. Come and find us on WeChat. Just search for Easy FM Roundtable. You can send us a message so you can talk to us or listen to the live show that way. Or you can leave us your thoughts and see in a Weibo. Just key in 轻松调频 Roundtable. If you're a podcast listener, we're Roundtable. 圆桌会议 there. But first, social media platforms such as WeChat or Facebook have become a primary source for us to receive news. And now, apparently, parents are also raising and rearing kids following the orders of some WeChat public accounts. A mom from Ningbo in Zhejiang province refused to take her 1-year-old daughter to the hospital after the baby caught a severe fever, simply because a WeChat public account said people should not let the children people should let the children recover by themselves. So let's talk about the general picture here. So young parents are following social media to raise kids. How does that pan out?
Well, let's talk about what's going on. Yeah. Recently, a woman in Ningbo, Zhejiang province, contacted Ningbo Evening News and told the newspaper that a WeChat public account called Star Nursery promoted the idea of not sending sick children to the hospital or giving them medicine. It said no matter what the disease the children are suffered from, they can recover by themselves. Well, that's a bold statement. And apparently there were several other women that were following this WeChat public account. To give you an example, I guess one of these daughters of one of these women caught a fever last Saturday, and her temperature rose to 39.5 degrees Celsius. Guys, the temperature of a healthy person should be between 36 to 37 degrees Celsius. However, this seemed serious, but the mother insisted to take care of the kid at home instead of sending her to the hospital. After 3 days, the kid still suffered from a high fever. Other family members decided to get involved and said to Lee, I guess, send the girl to the hospital. The doctor told them that the fever was caused by a virus infection. Sounds pretty serious. And prescribed some medicine. But the mother refused to give the kid the medicine, saying taking drugs will deprive the kid of a chance to let her body fight the virus. Other family members decided to take matters into their own hands and, I guess, secretly feed her the medicine to cure her. The mother was not happy about this. And so basically, this isn't the only other time this has happened. I guess in March, a WeChat post called for parents to stay away from vaccines for kids. It said that basically these vaccinations are a commercial behavior. And so you can understand this isn't rare. This has happened before. Mm-hmm. And parents are actually really listening to these kind of WeChat articles, which are basically saying, if your kid is sick, don't take him to the doctor. That's a pretty bold statement, I think.
Yeah, pretty extreme.
Yeah.
And now you two are all staring at me because I'm the only mom in here. Yeah, I do have a lot to say on this topic because I've been through the whole thing. I don't really follow these WeChat accounts too much. First, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to your baby's health, stick to going to the hospital and listening to doctors, trained doctors.
Yes.
And also there are these, books on medicine. What's the word for medicine for kids? Pediatricians. Yeah, exactly. Follow those instead of spending all that time, reading through these post messages. They're not from the authorities. And when your kid has a fever of 39 degrees, it happens. Whenever my baby has a fever, it just shoots up to 40 even.
Yeah.
But every baby is a little different. There's a base temperature. Some kids, when they have a fever, maybe it's 38.5 and it kind of just hovers around there. My baby just goes over the roof, 39 and then 40, sometimes so high I'm even scared to take her temperature. So I always have a bottle of this medicine for quick emergencies to, make her a little cool herself a little bit, for emergencies, and then to the hospital.
Yeah, for a second I thought, baby, you were gonna reach for a glass of wine or bottle of wine.
So let me start with this topic.
It sounds like such a stressful job being a mom. When kids go sick, you don't know what to do if you don't have any experience in this.
I think that's actually a really good point. So do you want to tell us,
how crazy we are being
the
mom?
first time you're a mom, when that kid comes in your life? I mean, obviously, is it easy to jump to conclusions and want a step-by-step guide? You find yourself having so many question marks, maybe just a small problem for a kid. You don't realize it because you've never had one before. Do you find yourself in that situation?
First of all, when I first had my baby, in the hospital, I was just numb. My brain was numb. I didn't know anything. Everything was so new. And I read a few books on, breastfeeding or taking care of babies beforehand. But honestly, I didn't remember anything from them. They were useless. It's when you start taking care of the baby.
Yeah.
You start to learn step by step, little by little. And so instead of putting all your trust into these articles and books, learn from your baby.
Ooh.
Learn from their reactions.
That's a good point.
And I've been, for the past two and a half years, it's been probably the most difficult years in my life so far. But looking back, now that she's, very healthy toddler, looking back, I have to say that being a mom, it's not, it's not rocket science. It's not that difficult, but it's a lot of work. And I was a very scared mom, new parent, but you don't have to be that. It's just natural to be scared, but tell yourself not to stay calm. It's not difficult. You just have to do a lot of work.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a really tough job.
It
is.
A
little bit terrifying for me who's not a mom.
But that's normal.
Okay,
that's
and you're pretty much saying that you learn on the job being a mom. And here's the interesting thing. I remember reading anecdotes from mothers in previous generations, and they say you learn from your mom, what your mom did to you, and then you pretty much just repeat that. And then as time goes on, new moms or parents learn from books. But now we're in a digital age. People don't reach to books that as often maybe, and immediately you go to your smartphone and you start reading from the WeChat public accounts on how to raise kids. And is that why that people tend to just believe these things, because this is the common source of information these days?
It comes easy and they make themselves sound authoritative and helpful. But I have to say, as my tip would be, listen to your mom, but you don't have to listen 100%. Things can always be improved. But do rely on the books, but published by these official medical hospitals or sites, whatever. But make sure, because all these articles, there can be tens of thousands of articles online, but only so few get printed in books. And there is a reason why. So rely on these books published by authoritative like either hospitals or other organizations. And then, there are hospitals. There are doctors who are sitting there alive, talking to you, watching, seeing signs of your children. They're pay them respect. They've studied for years to be in that position.
Confidence can be... People with confidence or writing an article with confidence can make anyone without it believe whatever that person wants, right? If you have confidence in something and someone doesn't have confidence, then when you say something, the sky is purple, they'll be like,
I am telling you.
Like, you know what? I think actually I see some purple up there. Oh my God, he's right, everybody.
Maybe I'm colorblind.
Yeah, and then suddenly, you got a following. I mean, confidence, so many people write about how confidence is everything, especially because those who have it can very easily convince those who don't. And that's what's scary about these, I think, online articles, or let's say WeChat articles, is because, a lot of people, I think it's same dog, new tricks. Really, it's just a different way of us getting information. Now it's more convenient online. It happens. We used to get it from books. The deal is you had to go through maybe a publisher. You had to be like a credible source to a publisher before you went to them saying, hey, I've delivered thousands of babies and I know all about them. I wrote a book and here's my credentials, and go ahead and read through, and then let's make some money together, publish my book. And they're like, oh, all right. But now, online, anybody can claim to be anything and publish whatever they want. And so that's wherein lies the danger of this. Before it was, you had to go through publishers who were somewhat credible. They had a name they wanted to protect. Now it's just a WeChat online article. And just really quickly here, I want to cite some information.
Sure.
The Shanghai Women Federation published a report this May on parents of kids aged from 4 to 6, which showed that 54.2% of the surveyed parents get knowledge on children's early education from the internet. Also, a report published by Tencent's WeChat public account, Today's Topic, I guess is what it's called, said the data from an app on taking care of mothers and children revealed that 60% of parents look for answers to their confusions regarding their kids on apps in 2017. So you can see there is just a lot of people turning their heads towards online sources for how to raise their kids.
It's probably just easier.
Yeah, well, that seems to be a really convenient way, maybe. And also in this report is quite interesting. One finding is that people don't trust their own parents on raising
That's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, the next generation of kids as much now. And then the parents today feel that I am technologically savvy and I know how to verify information and I go online to do all of that. My mom's experience isn't all that.
It's outdated.
Yeah, so I should discard that. What do you think of that attitude?
All right, it's an interesting thing. Well, my baby, when we first came back home from the hospital, before that, my mom was like, oh, don't worry about it. We don't need help. I know all about this. I can take care of her. And so when she got back from the hospital, and all of us adults were like standing around the crib and we were all staring at her and nobody knew what to do. It's like when she was there, just actually there, my mom was like, what shall I do? She actually had no clue because when I was little, most of the burden fell on my grandma. See, even with your mom, probably she had a lot of help from her mom. So a lot of moms don't remember the things from 30 years back.
Yes.
So they can offer some help, but they're actually also learning on the job. And for the bigger things, like when your child is sick, there are the hospitals. If you don't trust the ones that sell you a lot of medicine, well, you can choose to take them to a few different ones, like maybe the public ones. It's a lot of work. I'm telling you, it's a lot of work. If you don't trust the public ones, you can try the private ones to see if they're just selling medicine, or because some of them you have to pay a lot just for the checkup.
Yes.
But they will not be selling you tons of medicine that are just not necessary. So if that's your way, then go with that way. But go to somewhere that's have the credentials to treat children.
Yeah, in my vast experience of not being a parent,
Sure.
and I can only assume here, is, but my vast experience of being a kid, I guess I would say that I feel now in my life, looking back on those times, that being a parent is somewhat intuitive, like you see animals in the wild too. They don't need a book on how to raise their kids.
Just lick your baby.
Yeah, it's like there's some things that are intuitive. You can tell when something's wrong, I think. You can tell, when you need to maybe take something seriously. When to say, okay, it's just a burp, or maybe he just has a stomach ache, this kind of thing. So I would say, also I think it's relative too. Like you said, you also got to learn from your baby. That's a special person with a special type of body, special type of maybe allergies, these kind of things as well. But I think it's as simple as saying, you can tell if you're like, let's take this example we originally were talking about, right?
The baby with a fever.
Yeah, for 3 days.
That's too much. That's too long.
That is the body really struggling to fight something. Remember, your body raises the temperature to kill maybe a virus or bacteria. But the thing is, viruses are very resilient. Whereas, I think if you raise the temperature of your body, you can probably kill off a lot of bacteria. But I think viruses are different. But anyways, I'm no doctor either. But I do know that if my kid had a fever for even more than a day, I would just risk it for the brisket. That's my kid, you know what I mean? And, I wouldn't claim to know more than a doctor. I wouldn't listen to a WeChat article and say that WeChat article knows more than a doctor. I think that's a risk,
This mom is really stubborn.
This mom is really stubborn. And the thing is, I think this is an extreme example of how something written with confidence, or someone who has confidence, can convince people that the up is down and down is up. Because those people don't have confidence just in general. I mean, it's really sad to see that this kid had to suffer for 3 days because someone read a WeChat article that claimed to know how to parent.
I really want to add something. Besides listening to your mom and going to the hospital and read books instead of just online articles, one thing that's really helpful is to ask your friends who are also new parents. That's not just for when your baby is born, but when we were pregnant, there's a whole batch of us who became moms around the same time. When we were feeling sick, when we were pregnant, we talked to each other, and it really helped. Oh, you were like that too? Oh yeah, I'm experiencing this. When we were breastfeeding, how things hurt and, things didn't work, we talked to each other. And they have kids who are a little older, and they will tell you they've been through this. So if you think your parents' ideas are outdated, talk to your peers. Your girlfriends who've become moms. That really, really helps because they understand what you're going through.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but I also see maybe there is a downside of talking to people that you believe belong to the same group online because, maybe for new moms or moms, maybe they've already had some experience in this field, then yes, I guess to some point you can trust their judgment. But on some of these online chat groups, and it's not just raising kids, it could be how to cure one disease or whatever. Nowadays, anybody can find a group of people with a similar problem online. And the problem here is once one person maybe started with false information and nobody's there to verify the false information's origin or situation like that, and it gets repeated in a group. And when wrong information gets repeated more than 100 times,
it becomes almost true.
And it becomes registered in people's minds. And sometimes people forget that this is not verified information. So there's also this other scenario that some people find online, that is in these chat groups. There's a lot of false information that gets disseminated as well.
I think we need to think about the motivation behind all this. Like these WeChat accounts, these official WeChat accounts, their motivation is very clear. They want, the hits. How many people have
the subscribes?
Followers. How many reviewed their articles, and the income from the subscribers or commercials. That's their aim. Remember that. They want more people to read their articles. And then these WeChat groups that you mentioned, you probably don't even know these people.
Yeah.
They want pretty much the same thing. Somehow it all ends up to be wanting more profit. But these, your mom, her motivation is very clear. She wants you and your kid to be healthy, to be happy. Intention is always very good and pure. And then the group from your peers, that's good and pure too. So
yeah, I think, we live in an information or a day where information is just so easily available and easily accessible. And that's a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because sometimes you get bad information right off the cusp. But do what any journalist would do. Fact check multiple sources, folks, all right? Just realize you can't be too cautious when it's your kid, when it's your health, these kind of things. So, and also keep in mind, everyone could be wrong. Even doctors, they aren't 100% foolproof, I would
Science
say
is still revolving.
Yeah, I would say anyone who's even sick and is an adult, get a second opinion on stuff, fact check multiple sources with whatever you do concerning your health or your kid's health, and find endorsed, certified, credited websites. Like I know in the U.S., if someone thinks they have something, they would check like WebMD. I think that's pretty certified, WebMD, I don't think is there to try to get subscribers, these kind of things. But I do think, it is
Call your pediatrician.
Yeah, it tells you certain, like very certified ways of handling situations. Like if this is happening, you should definitely be calling your doctor, not telling you to like, oh, well, take this medicine and this and that. I think many times you'll find that they say you should see a doctor.
They have to see the baby first.
Yeah, this kind of thing. And, in the U.S., I think too, many couples to kind of shirk off the stress of being a new parent, try to prepare themselves with Lamaze classes or other kind of classes. Hey, you can't. You got to be ready for that situation that you've never experienced before. And I think going through a class sometimes helps you prepare for a situation where you'd be like, oh my God. Then you can say, okay, we trained for this. It's all right. Get in the car, blah, blah, blah. Let's drive to the hospital, this kind of thing. Count to 10, sweetie. Everything's going to be all right. Whereas if you didn't have that, maybe you'd be like, oh my God, what do we do? And you just run around in a circle for 10 minutes before you get in the car.
Yeah. So, can I just say a few things that I think to summarize this?
Yes, please.
First of all, remember that young parents, you are vulnerable.
Yeah.
Your kid is vulnerable. You are vulnerable too, because you are put into this situation you've never faced before, and it's a lot of responsibility. You're scared, and so remember you're vulnerable, and also remember that this is a learning process for you. And what's learning? Learning is not just let's read article from this one site. You read books, you read different books, you learn from different sources. So remember that you are learning. You don't know it, you have to learn it. And then always rather safe than sorry.
Yeah.
So rather safe than sorry. Literally, like we were so scared when our baby, had fevers. So we ran to the hospitals, like twice a day. It's a little silly thinking about it.
But it's something you got to do, maybe.
Yeah, it's a process you have to go through.
Yeah.
You go there 2, 3, 4 times, and then you'll realize, I think she's okay this time. I think she can handle the 39.5 or the 40 degrees, but maybe the next day. So...
Yeah, and I think it saves money on the next kid if you have it, because then you're like, we already went through this. They're fine, blah, blah, blah. So it's an investment in the long run if you plan on having multiple kids. Or at least that's what I've heard. You know, the second kid always has it easier. The first
I will. If I ever have a second kid, I will raise her like a piglet. Like literally, I know it now.
Yeah.
It's nothing to be really nervous about. You just have to be careful and be diligent.
Yes.
Yes, learning on the job and not be too nervous about it. Give yourself and your
But
kid
realize you will
a
be.
chance.
Realize you will be at the same time.
Well, just thinking about this makes me a little nervous. And I don't even have a child yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. It's rather safe than sorry.
Yes.
Yes,
Always.
keep that in mind. That comes from a mom on Roundtable. Baby. Yes, it's good advice. You're listening to Roundtable with myself, He Yang, Ryan Price, and Baby. Coming up, we'll talk about gratitude banquets for teachers, or 谢师宴, as they're being held around this time of the year. What are the ills and merits to it? And other interesting discussion right here on Roundtable. Don't go away.
Informed opinion and heated debate. Find out what's got China talking on our roundtable discussion. Only on Easy FM.
You're listening to Roundtable with myself, He Yang, joined by the amazing and awesome Ryan Price.
Merry Christmas, Young.
Yeah, in the heat of the summer. Where are you from?
Oops. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, having you on the show is like
It'll
Christmas
be a couple
every
months.
day.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
You are ever so welcome. And we've got the very sweet and elegant and smart mom,
Oh,
Miss
sure.
Baby.
Yeah, right. Pile it on. Hi, glad to be here.
Wonderful to have you guys here in the studio with me. Coming up, gratitude banquet for teachers, or 谢师宴, are usually held at this time of the year, which is graduation season for high school students and also university students as well. How could these banquets of thankfulness turn sour? And a street interview of primary school kids talking about the so-called older generation of those born in the 1990s has gone viral. Apparently, Jay Chou, superstar for those born in the 1980s and 1990s, is being called a respected elderly artist.
Oh my God.
Yes, that video has enraged a lot of older
What's
people.
wrong with these kids today?
No, it's
Let's
it's
just
us.
not have them, guys.
We're
Why
just
were we talking about
ancient.
the first thing?
Let's give them a chance and talk about why is it seems that maybe the younger generation is always looking down upon the older generation.
Shouldn't it be the other way around?
We don't want to bother with them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
is
They're
that
not worth
why?
the time.
We're too
All right.
wise to spend time, looking down upon them. Give them space to grow.
Worms.
They
Worms.
will know one day.
Yeah, they'll grow up one day.
Yes, I hear two slightly enraged
Anyways,
human
we will
beings
get to
talking
that
about
topic,
it.
yeah.
Yes, we'll get to that. Yes, allow us the time, and we always want to hear from you. Just send us a WeChat message as we are Easy FM Roundtable, or you can find us at Weibo, just key in 轻松调频 Roundtable. Our podcast listeners can find us at Roundtable 圆桌会议 there. Now on Roundtable's a sofa throne.
Wait, what's that noise again? Pew, 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 pew?
Not for this one. It's our trumpet. So
Okay.
it's my trumpet. And I'm going to go ahead and do it now. So,
Sure.
Burr, burr, burr.
Wait a minute. I thought that was a chicken.
bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
It's a trumpet?
Yeah, I
I'm
don't really know.
sorry.
You know, you definitely, your skepticism here is definitely
you
for a
ever
good reason.
Have you ever seen a live chicken?
I guess it's a cross between a chicken and a
and
trumpet.
a trumpet. A chicken
Yeah.
playing trumpet.
That's how cool the sofa throne game is. We give them something special.
Sure,
Chicken
yeah.
trumpet.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
that
Anyways, who
that was so
is
special.
deserving of
Yes,
this
I'm enjoying this so
trumpet
much.
of chickens?
Yes, today, I'm sure Mr. YKK is very happy for grabbing the throne again, as I think it's the third one in a row of consecutive weekdays. Yeah, Mr. YKK, you are very close in winning the 5-day consecutive sofa throne competition so that we can give you, as we really want to, Roundtable VVIP treatment.
Swag.
Yeah, so we
Swag.
send a special goodie bag out to you if you manage
Nice.
to be in the league of very few people. Yes.
Yeah, we like to treat those who really support us as good as possible, as good as we can. So we send out that sweet swag, So it's all surprise. I kind of told you about maybe what some of it is, but anyways, that's on previous shows. You guys can listen to that, but basically totally worth it.
Yes.
Totes worth it, actually.
Okay.
It's
Totes.
dope. It's pretty dope.
Okay,
Cool.
it's totes dope.
Totes dope. That one goes out to New Honglin.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and Huyang is just trying too hard to be cool here. Yeah. Anyhow, Wait KK has a special message for us. He's saying, hello, dear Roundtable hosts. Sorry to let you know that I wasn't able to listen to your live show every day, but you're pretty much here every day, Mr. Wait KK. Yes, I do realize
You're doing
that.
pretty well.
Yeah, and he's an office guy, so he's listening to the show, trying to be undercover, not
Covert.
to... Yes.
I like your style, dude.
Yes,
Pretending he's working hard.
absolutely. Yeah, and he's saying that, and also he listens to our show on podcast again on the way home. Wow.
Dude, superstar. That's what he is.
Yes.
Not just a throne winner, but really a winner
He's the
at
king.
life. Winner at life, I would say, because if you're listening to this show twice, then you're twice as cool, in my opinion.
Yes, I totally agree. With you, Ryan. Yes. And WKK says, thank you for your company to us. And fighting for the sofa is the least thing I can do.
Stop. Okay, continue.
Ryan is feeling too good about himself.
Dude, I love it. You know, if we have a tip jar and you guys put those compliments in there, that's everything to us. Or at least to
You
me. I
have
love
50
it.
cents by now.
I have 50 cents, and I couldn't be happier. Thank you very much, Sofa Winner.
Yes, thank you
Yes.
very much.
Yes.
All of our lovely listeners, and especially those who write into us because
we love you.
Yeah, we enjoy and we're very grateful of that extra effort.
Yes.
And also Bob the pilot has written in too.
He's flying in.
Yes, he's flown in.
He's a pilot.
Oh,
He's actually a
Actual
pilot.
pilot? Okay.
Yes, and he
Cool.
sent in photos and shared comments with us that
Yeah, like if we have a topic about flying, like Bob flies in and he's like, "This is how it is." So,
well, I
very
hope nobody's
respected.
throwing any coins into your engine.
Oh God, yeah, you heard about
Yes.
that.
yeah.
Nobody's heard about that.
And Bebe, spot on. That is one topic that we'll discuss tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Oh, preview,
Yes.
preview. Super excited.
Yeah, just
Let's keep it a secret.
Yeah.
Okay, I wish I can take it back. And also, and because Bob has written in multiple times and his insight has confirmed with us, and I think it's verified that he is a pilot. So,
Yes.
you know, when you
Okay.
have information, even as young parents, first-time parents, you need to verify according to different sources on multiple occasions. Can you believe that information is true? And we've got listeners such as Zhan Shen and Zhen Li Ming. Very excited that Bebe is here.
Oh, hi.
Yes, very cute messages that's been sent
Me too.
in. Yes, very nice of all of you. And now let's switch gears.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
I'm ready.
gratitude.
Hey, what is that? Gratitude banquet for teachers? Have you ever heard of it?
You know what? Well, Yang, what
Is
do you
that a
think?
common thing
Yeah.
in China?
Oh, it is one way to understand Chinese culture.
Seriously, it was a gratitude banquet for teachers? I mean, like, why would they want to come to this banquet? They're finally done with these kids, and can't you just leave me alone?
Well, that is an interesting take on this.
Seriously, like, if I were the teacher, I just want to go home and leave you guys for the summer vacation. Bye-bye. I don't want no banquet.
I understand that, but let's see why some teachers do
yes.
want to join these banquets. After taking the Gaokao or college entrance examination, high school seniors would sometimes hold a banquet for their teachers to express gratitude. And teachers come, and sometimes they feel that they're obliged to do that. These banquets are called gratitude banquets for teachers, or 谢师宴. Yeah, let's talk more
New to
about
us.
how is it being held and who's holding these banquets.
Yeah, what's going on here, guys? Gratitude banquets for teachers literally
It
means...
sounds so made up.
literally means a banquet honoring teachers after students graduate. Who's graduating here, teachers? Okay, that's my first question here. But anyways, as many people know, you know, it's very traditional, kind of a traditional moral here in China to respect your teachers. And I totally agree with that. You know, they're the ones that bestow knowledge upon you, right? And fill those empty heads with knowledge. So this becomes a thing, though. Honestly, Bebe, it's like hotels, it's restaurants advertising these banquets on their big LED screens. It's kind
It
of
just seems
it's a thing.
odd. And it seems a little wrong, too.
Yeah, you know, my first thing was, okay, I get it, but you know, I don't have a Ryan banquet every time I come into work and they're like, "Yeah, Ryan, you're doing your job. Rock on, man." You know, I'm like, that would be awesome. I would love that. But you know, this is your job. Your job is to educate kids. And, you know, I would say that the reward and why you should be doing it is that you get to mold the young minds of tomorrow. And I guess I also come from a bias that these kids graduated, you know? We should be celebrating them. You gave them work. They triumphed. They learned. They passed tests. They went through the stress and of learning knowledge and utilizing it on whatever you gave them. So, you know, I think it's more their journey that needs to be celebrated rather than you, the person that teaches the same class year upon year upon year. I'm not saying that you guys aren't awesome teachers. You're amazing. But I think it's better that the confidence boost go to the kids. More influence is on the children so that maybe that boost carries them on to the next round of education, this kind of thing. Saying, good job.
Yeah, well, Ryan, if you've done an exceptional job, then I think we'll hold a little party for you, maybe, if it's a special occasion.
Don't get excited. She's just saying you're not good enough.
Well, I think it was a conditional clause that I did use, but I think you're very good, and maybe we should hold a little party for you. And for students that have
coffee at Yiloban.
Yeah, in our little
coffee.
CRI cafe, yes. Okay. But for the students that have done exceptionally well, they get scholarship. What do these what do the teachers get? Well, if they're doing an exceptional job, and
they get a summer vacation.
Yeah, you get a job, you get payment.
Yeah, but if your students are so
exceptional,
they're so they want to say thank you to you.
You know what?
Well,
Ryan?
it's not just the students though. And actually, I want to paint this reason. Okay, actually, many times it's the parents that decide to treat the teachers of the students. So sometimes I'd say,
it's never the students. They don't want to see their teachers again.
I feel like the students are like, hey, I think they are very gratuitous towards their professors, but many times, I mean, maybe it's different. In college, at least for college, for me, I had to pay for my class. That was me paying tuition that goes to the class I had to take. I gave you my money, man. We're even, this kind of thing. I get it. Maybe that's not necessarily the moral tradition here, but I think too, to basically pay someone to give you, to do something for you and then afterwards take them out to dinner, I think that is asking a lot. I do think there are certain teachers and under certain circumstances, these teachers have performed well beyond their capacity. Then I would say treat these guys to a pizza party. They deserve it, but if they're just doing their job, and you're doing it more of let's remember, baby, when we talked about tips, when it's just kind of becomes something that it's expected, but not necessarily deserved, then I think it's maybe too much.
That sounds like a very tricky, fine line. And sometimes people wobble on that line. And sometimes it is voluntary. And sometimes maybe some teachers, and maybe to some extent students as well, take this as a fixed norm gesture that they should do. And that's when things aren't really...
Can I say something? Two things at least. First of all, Ryan.
Yeah.
You and we've never been through the Gaokao.
No.
And we should feel really lucky that we've never been through that. Yeah. Because from what I heard, it's a tough trial. Yeah. And for people who've been through that and succeeded, I think they are so happy, so thrilled to be finally on the other side of the bridge. Yeah. And they want a special kind of thank you note for the teachers. So maybe we just don't understand the emotions behind it. So we think it's kind of odd. And also what I don't understand, what I'm not too comfortable with is this form of showing gratitude. To a banquet? That's just because I guess for me, you and your teacher, it's just, you're not really in contact on a personal level.
Yeah.
It's for me, when I graduated from high school and I got into a university that I really liked and really wanted to go, I gave my guidance counselor a painting that I painted. Mm-hmm. It's an oil painting that I painted brush by brush, stroke by stroke.
That's really cool.
And she loves it so much. She still, puts it up in her office today, And then she gave me, a few weeks later, I received a gift in the mailbox. And it was a very beautiful pearl necklace from this counselor. Oh, wow. So I was very grateful. So I gave her a gift that I made by myself. It's that I can understand, and she treasures it. But to be can I take you out to dinner? That's just weird. Mm-hmm. At least in the U.S., you just don't take teachers out to dinner.
I think it's not as the relationship's not as personal maybe in the U.S., and that's maybe why we come from this area. Although I would say that if I had a favorite teacher, I'm totally in Bebe's camp. I think doing something, showing them gratitude, less in a monetary way, but like in a painting.
Like a card or something, like a gift, small gift.
I think that would go much farther, at least in the U.S. And I think, actually I've been in those situations where I made something like a card or something, or gave a card to my professor, and that little thing went, I think, really far,
Yeah, it's like, how many years? Over a decade later, it's still up in her office.
Yeah, and I imagine if I was a professor, that's what I would want. Also, I will say that I'm in a different camp on the celebration things. I think celebrations are relative. I think, though maybe it is arguable that children for the Gaokao go through much more rigorous tests and studying.
Can't even imagine.
I don't think it is any less of a time to celebrate in the U.S. when I do the SAT and graduate from high school. I think challenges are relative. How hard you work and how stressed you are could be different for different people. If I'm a super brain, then the Gaokao could be cake for me. Of course it won't be, but it's depending on the person where the challenge really comes to the forefront. So I would say anytime somebody accomplishes something and meets a milestone, no matter where it is, deserves celebration. And that's why I think, focus, at least for me, I remember when I graduated high school, my mom, she threw a big barbecue, invited all my relatives, and friends came over. And then, I got in my car, we drove to other friends' barbecues. And that was really special, but there were no teachers at this barbecue.
No teachers at the barbecue.
Yeah, I think the culture is kind of different here in China, as first of all, there is maybe a closer relationship between the student and the teacher, possibly.
Because you were in the fight together?
Yes.
Probably. And you were in the trenches together.
Yes, and a lot of these teachers, they are cheerleaders, and also they're the commanders of this team, and then they're really motivating you, and then they've been with you from beginning to end. If you look bigger, it's the 12 years that you've been preparing for the Gaokao. If you look only in the high school years, it's only 3, but for those almost 1,000 days. Teacher, especially the teacher responsible for the class, has always been there for you. So when this is all ending, people kind of want a closure in a way, and also want to say thank you. And this is usually done with a group of your classmates. It's almost like goodbye dinner in a way.
Okay.
Because
that makes sense.
Yeah, and then you ask the teacher to come with you to this big dinner. If we say this is a thank you dinner, does it sound a little bit better than
it sounds a little bit better, yeah. Thank you dinner.
And so usually that is the setting, but sometimes it does go wrong. As we can see in restaurants, there are special menus designed, and sometimes it could go too grandiose or maybe too expensive.
It's pretty lucrative, yeah.
Yeah, and ostentatious. There's special dishes called 才高八斗, that's extraordinary talents, or 桃李芬芳, fragrant peaches and plums by the surface of the translation, but actually it just means that you've got really good students all over the world. There are special things designed for this, and sometimes it could go too far, but right now the trend seems to be that it's becoming a little bit more affordable, and people are taking the ostentatious element out a little bit more.
You'd be surprised.
Just a bowl of noodles.
You'd be surprised. According to a report by Beijing Evening News, the person in charge of a restaurant in Beijing said they only got one table reservation booked for a banquet. So this is, I guess, pointing to maybe the trend is changing. And in fact, other students are finding new innovative ways to hang out with the professor, all right?
See, and that doesn't sound right.
That is to combine outdoor activities. So I guess in one circumstance, they went to a farm, they had some food and stuff, and then what's better than, I think you can really let out some issues maybe of all that time you spent together. When you have like paintball fights. I guess they do things like paintball fights, and they're like, you should have given me an A. And he's like, you never turned it in on time. And then at the end, you put your arm around each other and you're like, I'm going to miss you, man. Then that sounds like more fun than a banquet. But these things are kind of becoming, are being seen as a celebration instead of this banquet. And I think this is cool because it's mixing both maybe an appreciation for the professor, but then also maybe something that kid really wanted to do and also got to have a lot of fun as well, this kind of thing. I think kids need to have fun too.
But I just think that, like, if I were the teacher, I just want to stay home. You know, I don't want to go to these banquets and, you know, have to entertain the kids and parents.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, well, you would be a teacher if you made that
accomplishment or statement.
If you made what you thought apparent to your students, I'm sure they would
be sad. I wouldn't say it.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So
I just said I'm busy home with my kid. So
yeah, and maybe they'll just send you a text. Is that better?
Or a card, a letter.
All right,
that would be nice.
Well,
right?
if you are thankful, then I think you should express it.
Yeah,
and also if you're not, then I think sometimes, you know, when you're not happy with things, it's fine to...
Yeah, you don't have to fake it.
Yeah, don't need to absolutely do anything. This is a voluntary thing, so keep that in mind. Sure. You're listening to Roundtable with myself, He Young, Ryan Price, and Vivek. Coming up, we'll talk about a video that's gone viral recently that's called Some of the Superstars in the Hearts of Those Born in the 1990s Old, and people are kind of enraged by it. Why is it? Stick around to find out more on that.
Roundtable. Connect the dots. Paints the picture. Debates the big issues. Every day from 1 to 2 p.m. on Easy FM.
You're listening to Roundtable, a street interview of primary school students talking about the so-called older generation of those born in the 1990s has gone viral. Apparently, Jay Chou's, or Zhou Jielun, superstar for those born in the 1980s and also the 1990s, is being called a respected elderly artist. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's talk about this video of a street interview of primary school kids first.
Yes. Ooh,
they feel so distant.
I'm livid.
Primary school kids,
they're livid.
How many generations?
I don't know. Who are these kids? These are elementary school students who were born after 2005. And what they're saying, is post-90s stuff, even getting close to the 2000s, that is old. And people who are from this, I guess, time period are also maybe respected older uncles and aunts and this kind of thing. And what I'm saying is, what's wrong with you kids? I'm still a kid at heart, you know? And this is why I guess I really feel offended by this.
You're just an older kid.
I'm an old kid, you know? And it's all relative. But really, you know, I guess it makes sense to a degree because, you know, there's this kind of trend on Facebook. You know, normally when you have like a Facebook, you're friends with people in your generation, right? People you grew up with. And, you know, someone posts like a collage of all the music videos or songs you used to listen to maybe when you were, you know, a teenager.
Backstreet Boys.
Had your attitude, you know, all this stuff. And you're like, and it just doesn't, you know, you think this stuff is still relatively cool. Everybody still thinks it's cool. And then, you know, they post this video on Facebook and they're like, this was, you know, 15 years ago. And you're like, oh my God, I'm old, you know?
Yeah.
But still, kids, show some respect. Apparently they're calling us aunts and uncles. I don't like that. I don't like it.
I think that's exactly what they're doing with Jay Chou. And Jay Chou, with all due respect, and I think he is very talented, he was born in 1979. So when you do the math, he's approaching
38.
Yeah.
38.
Yeah, so I think to some extent, if you are a little kid, and then I remember when I was 17 and I was watching Sex and the City, and there was one episode saying that somebody was Carrie was turning 35, and she was having a meltdown, and the girl at the next table was turning 25 and saying, oh my God, I'm old. And I, as a young person, I felt those people are old.
We're old, yeah.
Yeah, and so it depends on how old you are, and you don't know better.
And also, I have to say that time just flies faster nowadays. With the
Really?
Yeah, literally. Because of the changes in technology and in our daily lives, things just goes by faster.
You never have like a moment to stop and smell the roses. You're always on the go.
Like, think about when we were their age.
Yeah.
Things were pretty stable. You know, we read
the good old days.
We read books and we wrote with a pen or a pencil and we watched TV and things remained like that for a decade or two. And now all of a sudden, you know, it's the computer age and then it's all the iPad and all these new fancy things and just things are moving so fast. So maybe for them, they feel like time has flown by in a much faster way.
Yeah, and I imagine that gap is definitely widened by maybe this. They're like trying to maybe communicate with someone, let's say someone born in the 90s, right? But this gap in technology has been exponentially growing so fast that when these little kids born in this time, they are this time. Maybe when they try to talk to somebody who's born in the 90s, they're like, hey, have you tried this new app, Snapchat? Oh, my God, I'm talking to all my friends on it. They're like,
what?
Snap what? Snap and what? And they're like, oh, my God, you're like a grandpa. Get away from me. And you're like, no,
that's
I was born in the 90s.
Yeah, but that's probably how they feel if you're not in tune with the things that they're playing.
I don't care how they feel, all right? I'm young.
Yes, you
and
are.
I love myself.
Yes, and you should. You are worth it.
Thank you.
And the little girl will be like, how pathetic.
But the thing is, when you look at what those born after the millennium are saying, that they say that their idols are TF Boys.
Oh my God.
Are some of these internet celebrities that I don't even know.
My baby was really into them.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Their songs, like when she was 1.5, like that's the only song she would dance to.
Yeah.
Yes, and some of them are also showing interest in very old music, I would say. That was, so there are some of these traditionalists too. But what I want to say here is that every generation have your own idol. And TF Boys are growing older too. One of them have just taken the Gaokao, the college entrance exam. So when you grow up
18.
with your idol, and when you look back in 10 years, if not 5 years, you're going to get similar comments from the younger generation too.
They'll have their days.
You're always going to get comments in your life. And it's all relative, how you think about yourself. I'm so happy with my age. I think this is actually 29 being the best age I've ever lived. It's all confidence. And if you don't have confidence in yourself and you don't feel good about yourself, I mean, everything changes.
It doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah, you're always going to get older. So love yourself and find a way to love yourself. Don't listen to these young kids.
Yeah, well, one last question for you guys. Do you think it's true that the young always look down upon the old?
No, I think that maybe is a relatively new thing. I feel like, it's always the old people like, kids.
Let's allow them some ignorance.
Yeah, they're young.
That's what youth is for.
They're young.
To be ignorant and to learn.
Yeah, they're young and they think they know it all. They're going probably into their terrible teens. That's what we call it.
They think they know it all. That's why they're young.
Yeah, little know-it-alls. That's all it is.
Let's just wait.
Yeah, wait it out.
You guys. Yes, I guess there is beauty in life. That's, knowing that there are these complexities and it's diminished by the simplistic.
Love yourself.
Yes, and false assumptions about who is what and what just based on age. That is the attitude that I would hold.
Yeah, love yourself. Okay? Don't forget that.
Okay. You heard it from the man, Ryan Price. And we've also got Bebe here. Thank you so much for being on the show. That's it for today. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
出生后，